Oh, okay. I might have one.
Well, I love this. Okay. So this is gonna be absolutely full participation,
Okay.
just so you know, we're all
Well,
gonna
now
learn.
I'm
I'm not insinuating anything you're gonna hear is new.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so as you know, this is a customer service class. Just different things that have worked for me personally, what I read, heard, study, podcast, whatever, right? I would say with our industry changing, and for the good, right, it's definitely gonna make an impact. I would say one of the
Probably grab a
important
bunch of paper towels.
differences as we show our value is how we make people feel. So in one sentence, what customer service is how you make people feel, right? For example, when we have someone come, hey, how's it going? Did you have a good day so far?
I'm having an
Okay,
amazing.
that's so cool. Oh my gosh, Sherry, I have to tell you something. I'm so excited about the hair and I love that color on this.
Thank you so
You know how
much.
funny it is?
Mm,
It really makes your tone look really good.
I need
You know
some
what I
color.
mean?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And I just want to thank you for taking time to come today. I mean, you're
You're
not.
welcome. I'm so glad that you're taking time to actually teach us class. Mhm, mhm.
So that rogue exercise of I said hi to both people, but I did it differently because I tried to connect differently. Now, clearly, I know Sherry's personality maybe doesn't need the compliments, but the engagement and the welcomeness in which I was speaking to her versus like pretty much thanks for coming and leaving as he was speaking. They were both the same things, but I left both people feeling different, right? So that is
Check the
exactly.
car. Check. the car.
I know where you
Flat
live.
tire or scratch?
Exactly. So really what we're gonna be talking about today, and this is all through trial and error, I'm gonna share, and I want you guys to share too, real life examples of what I've learned of just picking up cues from my clients. And some of them were as recent as last week. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna add that. I took a little Disney class, Disney University class, which you know how to make moments exceptional. And this is one of my new favorite books. We've read it before. I reopened it. It does a fantastic job in talking about moments. So in an industry where, and especially in this time, where everyone is stressed to the max, right? How can we connect with people and make those what would be considered normal moments extraordinary? That's what we're talking about. How can we connect with people? And we can then call it, that's my customer service, right? So what one definition of customer service is the support you offer your customers both before, during, and after they buy and use your product or services that helps them have an easy and enjoyable experience with you. So the definition is to have an easy and enjoyable experience with you. So we're going to talk about how do we do that today and how do we implement that in our day-to-day business. And if I might be so bold to say, with anyone. It doesn't even have to be your business. They have examples in this book about your first day at work, so, you know, graduating from high school, doing all kinds of different things. So it's not just a sales position. Okay. Can anyone share with me, and I will call on you. That might have been Cookie. I'm so sorry.
You too.
Glad this is being recorded. That was Cookie. Okay. What are some good customer service experiences you've had? And I'm just gonna count on, like, I'm just gonna point, so and then go.
Man, on the spot.
Wow, on the spot versus like working.
Okay, I'll start to get the ball rolling. Oh, Lionel, please, that's fantastic.
My insurance agent,
Okay,
get into a car accident, call him, he immediately is calling me back. Throughout the whole process and communicated with me, let me know where I was, what were the next steps.
might distract me by writing this down.
No, I just thought, gosh. What else did you want?
A good example. Do you have, since we'll just be by dichotomy, do you have a bad example? Can I use that one?
Yeah, going into AT&T. As I say, no, you don't have to say anymore at that point.
Yeah, like we all get it. You can say Verizon, you can say whoever. So what I heard you say is your insurance person showed good customer service based on how they made you feel. As a component.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you go to AT&T, you're just like,
I have that feeling before I get in there, because I know that I'm gonna
What you
have to go
expect.
through the. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Does anyone else want to share?
Do you have a good one? I know there's people, we do this all the time. I go, that's how you should do it.
Yeah.
But I don't have an example.
Okay, like customer service, like on a vendor side, so, lenders. I've got one lender, we all know who it is, that has a consistent check-in on a day of the week, update. Regardless if nothing has changed, it's always something that you can rely on. It's gonna happen that day like clockwork. And then, create a communication in between those checkpoints versus the flip side of that is me having to babysit somebody through their job because they've just not followed through on anything. So now it's my job to make sure that the closing disclosure goes out instead of theirs because they didn't get it done.
So you're saying that's bad customer service from them to you because you have to babysit them?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I can share two examples. One, when I went to El Gaucho for dinner, and then keep in mind, everyone knows I grew up in a big city, so I was not surprised at any point in time, what those prices used to be. Hey, Melinda, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking time to come today. That means a lot.
Like, I was just going to the bathroom.
And I know she has to sit down.
I never try to miss, I try not to miss your classes.
You're very sweet. Thank you. I forgot how expensive El Gaucho was, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, dear God, he pays $80 for a steak, right? And so on and so on. The wine was just as expensive. And then it was brought to my attention, it was for the experience, because guess what? While I was having dinner, while we were having appetizers, a glass of wine, things were happening around me that I didn't even really notice. My water was full again. I'm no longer sitting with dirty dishes. My napkin fell, it's now back on my lap. I mean, I obviously noticed that.
Right. You're like, oh,
Yes. So that's customer service, and it felt real like, wow, I feel really special, right? And I did like the element of it wasn't in my face, right? The bad one is, and the girls hate it when this happens and they're near me. If I go to a restaurant or any service place and they're rude, they're like, okay, I'm like, my face drops immediately. I'm like, oh God, and here we go. And the girls just take a step back. And they're like, here mom goes. I'm like, no, I've aged gracefully and I no longer do that, but I would get mad, right? Because they weren't treating very well.
I'm paying $80 for a steak alone.
I know, right? So inevitably, through what we do and what happens to us is how do we feel in exchange for that? I wanted to share something with you because this is kind of what got me going on this whole topic. There's a sign at Inkwell, which is one of my favorite stores. Not because I shop there, but I just like it. Okay. Okay. Ready? Okay. This is the beginning of a new day. You have been given this day to use as you will. You can waste it or you use it for good. What you do today is important because you are exchanging a day of your life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever. In its place is something that you have left behind. Let it be something good. So I'm like, that's fantastic. I was with Kate and then like, we're both crying. We're like, how are we spending our days? And then I internalized it and was like, oh, how am I making other people feel when I'm around them? They're exchanging their time to be with me. Now clients, right, family, and friends, thank you for being here, being sincere, thank you for being here. Everyone's exchanging something, and when they exchange their time and they exchange themselves, how am I showing up on the other side? So I think
I do have an example.
yeah, please, thank you.
Margaritaville, down at, we stayed at a hotel, it's a new hotel down there, softball tournament, a couple weeks, no, maybe a few weeks ago. Their customer service was absolutely fabulous, but I'll tell you what it did for me in exchange was I made sure that I gave them quick reviews, great reviews. I wrote long reviews. I touched on everything. And they said, could you also put that on Yelp? And I said, absolutely, I can. So, they responded back. So, but that's what that did was it did create for me to take the time to say, this was exceptional service.
Yeah,
And we said, we'll be back.
yeah.
So,
I was thinking of my husband and I, especially my husband, he's the worst critic because he used to manage a restaurant.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a restaurant, but he's just he's just a critic. And we'll come in and I'll be like on the poor restaurant side going, well, but they at least got this right.
Oh, no.
When we came back from Las Vegas, we flew to Las Vegas and back on United because we have United miles, but besides that, we flew through Eugene to San Francisco, so we had to make a stop each way, same direction coming back through SFO. And, you know, United Airlines has been getting a lot of bad press lately, which seems to be more tied in with Boeing, but anyway.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, we have never had such good flight crews, such
Nice.
good service, everything on time. There were some weather issues we
Yep.
thought, but no problems. Everything ran smooth and on time. I mean, the few bumps that we felt were very light compared to what the pilot warned us about. And so, you know, be sure your seatbelts are fastened and all that, but it was some of the best service we've ever
Cool.
had. And he remarked about it, and Mr. Critic, like, he even noticed. So your idea is good about leaving some reviews
Mhm.
about that because
Yeah, it is important, right? It's important to everyone. And so as we're out in the world, and especially everyone's, well, you just have to share your value. What's your value? What are you worth? How do
Yeah.
you make someone feel? How do you slow down?
Well, the truth is, you can go 20 to 40 years or 50 years.
Yes.
and People will always forget the stupid thing you say, the
Yeah.
stupid thing you do, but the right, wrong, good or bad or indifferent, they'll never, ever forget the way you make them feel.
Yeah,
Ever.
I agree.
I was in Arizona at a training at the hotel. Had some questions, wasn't sure about the layout, and the lady is like, oh, let me show you. So she literally and I'm like, it's like she walked me all the way to the other building, showed me where that, and she said, do you need anything else? And I said, well, where do they do the food in the morning? And she said, well, let me walk you. I know, well, you don't have to walk me, you can just come. She said, no, I'll walk you right over there. And talk about a feeling, I was even
You're not
walking
gonna
with
get
her,
lost.
my thought was, geez, I'm wasting her time, she's walking over here, but she's like, oh, no, this is my job, this is no problem, and she made me feel easy about it. So yeah, the feeling was like, and then I asked that question like Sherry did, I'm like, you guys have a Yelp or something where I can, you know, let a manager know I want to
Very
express
cool,
my gratitude.
right? I think that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And it is a law of reciprocity, which I can never say. But like you want to share that goodness too, right? So the theme throughout this talk is how are we gonna make other people feel throughout the transaction. So the other part, what are some good characteristics? Then have to be good. What do you consider some characteristics of when you feel engaged with someone? One thing to get the ball rolling might be eye contact. What else?
So it's the great listener.
Okay. Nice.
Great question asker, they're asking questions to drill down, which
You know you're
goes
getting
with what
some.
you're being heard,
Sort
yeah.
of myself. Okay. Listen up, folks. Okay. I don't know what to say. Okay. I wanted to write these down so you guys have it. Okay, for questioners, ask great questions. Okay, I'm gonna email you later. I'll write this down. I want to only use ones that don't work.
Okay, well,
Okay,
Mission
ask great
accomplished.
questions, listeners. How do you feel? I had a client do this to me. How do you feel when you call someone and they go, yep, what's up?
Mm.
I'm like, I'm gonna pretend you're older than 23. Right? So tonality,
Oh, to
you're
me,
the
it probably would
best.
make me feel like we had a, like Earl said, a personal relationship. I probably wouldn't feel disrespected by it, but I guess it would depend on,
know your
it would
audience.
depend on who they are, right?
Yeah.
If I called a client and they said, hey, what's up? Then I'm feeling like they're very comfortable with me.
Yes, and if you call a business and they're like, yep, what's
Oh,
up,
no, not like that. Not first. Mm-mm.
right? Or they're like this, hello? I'm like, oh, shoot, it's nap time, what is happening right now, right? So it's our tonality, the words we use, our body language if we happen to be in person, great questions, good listening, all great customer service. Why? Because are we making them feel in the moment? So, and a lot of that, just so you know, means we have to slow down. And guess what? It's not about us. Right? So that's why, oh, I hope I say the right thing. Oh, I wonder what they think. Oh, about anything internal. It's not about us. What would happen if I just spent all my time making sure you were okay? How would I act? Like if you're talking to a family member you love, like I promise you, unless I'm joking with my mom, I'm like, yeah, what's up? I don't do that, right? So if we take a moment to slow down Remember, it's about them. We don't know what kind of day they're having, maybe yes, maybe no. And then what components are we using to show that we're engaging and valuing them? Now, everyone in here, let's see, has heard about the disc. So I'm gonna fly through that. This is more for people who haven't heard of disc or don't utilize it. Oh, is Ryan on? Hi, Ryan. Here's my aunt. I was like, why is Ryan's picture on there? Okay. Okay.
He's our Zoomer.
So when you're looking at him.
This is a weird angle.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm not used to that thing yet. Okay. The reason why I'm bringing up the disc, because even if like all of us in this room have heard it a lot, is because that is a component of making them feel like you think they're special because you're engaging them how they want to be engaged. So I have some documents I can email you. If you need a brush up on what the disc profile is, I'm happy to send it to you. I cannot tell you the amount of people who come to me talking to me, how they want to be talked to. Yeah, please, sir.
Can I share a fun story?
Love it.
It's
It's my
about
favorite.
you.
What?
It's about you.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, we were going through a class on this whole idea and understanding that personality type.
Yeah.
So one of my assignments was talk to somebody at their level, what they desire. So I was talking to you,
Yeah.
which was like, yeah, I felt it. Yep, zip it all over the place. And then the goal was to just slow down for about 10 seconds and go the opposite. So I'm sitting there at the table and I said, yeah, so what I'm thinking, Michelle, is, and I'm literally watching your body language, your hands were doing this and your eyeballs were like, you're like holding your eyes like.
How long do I have to give you my attention before you get to the point?
And then I switched, that was part of the exercise, then I switched and I went back, and, anyway, yeah, totally, yeah, and what we're doing, and your whole body went. So it's amazing how you can make somebody feel
Yes.
by being outside of their personality type.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing
It's okay.
that on that. I love it. And it's true to this day. So luckily, I've grown and matured. But I'm bringing up that the disc isn't something to be thrown out. It is important.
Yeah.
Because as we're doing your other things, like talk to them how they want to be talked to.
You know what I've noticed,
Tell me,
listen to all of you
tell
guys,
us. Yeah.
is talking to clients. You think that they understand documents, when you say docs,
Yeah.
or you say, you talk to me, you know, like they understand it all, and their personality, a lot of their personality is, they don't want to step up and say, I don't understand what you're saying because I feel stupid. So you
Right.
just keep on going with this professional stuff, whether it be on the phone or in person. You know, you need to sign a docs, and you need to, you know what I mean, there's
Yeah.
abbreviation on all kinds of things. They don't know.
They don't know.
And they don't wanna bring it up, that I feel stupid
Yeah.
because I don't know.
Exactly.
And then you don't get down to where you need to be.
Yeah, it's true. And thank you, Earl. We don't get down to where we need to be.
Yeah.
So in the Disney University, oh, this was just the disc stuff that we talked about. In the Disney University, this was so interesting. So we're gonna talk about common purpose now. So everyone thinks mission, vision, and value, right? That's where I mean, those are important things, but your purpose, why you're doing what you do, is where you draw from, almost like how you treat people. Like that my purpose is blah, 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 right? So for Disney, we create happiness by providing the finest in entertainment for all people of all ages everywhere. That's their purpose. With that purpose, they can then say, and this is how it looks for the custodian, for the ballet, for the person at the popcorn shop, because is it in coming back to that purpose? So although, you know, we are very blessed at Keller Williams to have all of the acronyms, to already be hearing about mission, vision, value, beliefs, and systems. As a business model to focus on purpose, maybe not mission, vision, values. That way you can then build your systems behind it. The reason why I'm talking about this today is, and we'll get to it, is when we come to those, what they call pits and peaks, we can systematize them because we know they're coming. And then we can focus on in the peaks, enhancing that experience, right? If we find for ourselves, I don't care that we're on a team, we run our business. What is the purpose of how we choose to run our business? And then Lionel, Melinda, right? That way we can then decide how we're going to make everything happen in the same part. So and then they say, in the service moment, the governing philosophical rule is purpose trumps task. It's okay to be off task if you're on purpose. The example they gave was kind of like Lionel's example. It was like pretty like spot on as if they took it from his example. It was a guy's job to clean Mickey Mouse's ears at the front, right? When he's holding Walt's hand. His job is to keep that statue clean and like shiny. Two kids walked up to him and said, "Hey, where's Fantasyland?" The Disney model is they give people permission, if you will, to go off task to fulfill the purpose of being the happiest place on earth. So instead of saying, "Oh yeah, pointing it's over there, yeah, follow me," he then took it a step further to create the purpose, and they started marching like pirates because they wanted to go to the Peter Pan ride. So I know all of us have like a bunch of people like Disneyland. In our jobs, do we give ourselves permission to get off task to fulfill our purpose of how we run our business? Because when we fulfill that purpose to make that connection with our clients, that's how we show value, because we value them. Does anyone have any question on that or want to share a story?
Yes, I just talked to Sherry's brother yesterday, police officer, grew up here, but he's a police officer in Florida. He's never promoted, so he's just a street cop.
Okay.
He's been promoted thousands of times, and they wanted him to promote, but he would have to go to school, he would have to work nights, he couldn't be home with kids, you know, all the above. But still, he's been in the job for darn near 20 years, and he still takes it upon himself to the young guys come up to talk to them not only about the job, but the finances and marriage and blah, blah, blah. Just because that's just what he's a leader.
See? Exactly right. That's exactly right.
He doesn't get paid for it, but he just does it because that's
Exactly right.
who he is.
Yeah, you mentioned police officer, saw a video just recently, guy gets pulled over, tail lights are out, both of them. You know, and of course, the guy is freaked out that he's, being pulled over. And the police officer gets out, tells him, the lights are out. Anyway, he proceeds to go back, pop the trunk. The police officer, "Here, and he's trying to fix it, and he's like, "Yeah, it didn't work." So the guy goes into his car, he's got some other tools, he's underneath the guy's dash, works on it, fixes it. So
Wow.
his task is safety, right? I mean, to pull this guy over because he's breaking the law, but his purpose was protect and serve.
Yeah. Oh, that's something
So
to
he
do.
went to the purpose, it's just. He didn't have
We're
to do
not-
that. He could have said, "Get it fixed, here's a fix it ticket, go
We're
to
not
court."
contractors, movers, all of those things, but how many times have you not gone in and helped a client in order to get to closing table? The purpose is to get there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get in here and help you get those water heaters strapped. I mean, there's your handyman right there,
Right.
you know,
And
all of that stuff.
the customer
Service.
service part
Mhm.
is how are we getting there? That's the task, right? Our task is we're telling our clients, we're gonna get you to a closing table. That's our job. That's the task. How we get there is up to us. How we make them feel the whole way is up to us. Okay, thanks for listening. Okay,
And you can be proactive too,
yes.
just like Jody said, he said they'll have, like I told him when we came in, we left our garage, our shop door open for 8 days.
Oh,
And
The whole time.
And our renters across the road left to go to work the second day. And when's that supposed to be up?
And Katie
Katie
had a
had someone
dog sitter.
standing there, dog's there, and she saw it every day.
And her
And
parents
we've
were
got
realtors,
Thousands
showed
and
up.
thousands of dollars of stuff in there, wide open, morning till night for 8 days. Nobody said a word. Now Joey said down there in Florida where they are, he said, they're driving in a neighborhood and someone's doors, garage doors open
Yeah.
night, they'll go knock on the door and say, "Hey, did you forget?" "Oh yeah, man, I just
So
forgot to
funny,
put that
nobody
down."
said anything.
So they put it
That's
down so
crazy.
that they don't get a phone call tomorrow saying, "Now you gotta come in here and spend 3 or 4 hours and call the insurance company and blah, blah, blah," so they're being proactive.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna challenge this thought of when we're creating ease and enjoyment for the people we're directly engaging with. Who else are we impacting by affecting that one person? We're all, no matter what our field is, we're all helping someone's mother, father, sister, daughter, like relative. Let's just say relative, right? So when I'm focusing on you and I'm making you feel at ease through the transaction, do you think that affects your life at home?
1,000%.
Right? So just as we say, it's not about this closing or this client. The same could be said for how we treat people and how the customer service effect we have on them for the rest of their family or friends as well. It impacts them. How many, I know everyone in this room has had some relative call you and say, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I felt so great that you're helping my mom. I knew everything would be fine. Because that was one less stress for the daughter, let's say, in this example, right? So we need to remember, it's not just about who's in front of us. Who else are we impacting by making that person feel valued and helping them be at ease with what we're going through with
Taking the
them?
heat so that somebody at home doesn't take that heat.
100%. 100%.
So I remember when I first discovered the Pink House in.
Yes, I love it.
Pink
I love
House?
it.
I don't know, think how.
Oh, it's,
The restaurant,
Yeah.
Independence.
Yeah, yummy.
so when they first opened, we found that, and
Check it out now.
the service was like, everybody was checking on us, not just one
Mhm.
server, they were all checking on us. And we felt, so good with the relationship, not knowing anybody, but they're checking in, they actually learned our names as we went through that, and they're like, hey, we want some more wine? And we walked out of there, like, this was an incredible experience, so what did I do? Just like I've been telling, I've told that story probably 1,000 times, going to the Pink House.
And we've never heard of the Pink House, so we'll be going to the Pink House.
Kristen's like, we're telling people that we don't private spot anymore.
You're waiting like. Exactly. And we all
But
have
it
like,
caused me to, my point was
Yeah.
that it caused me to want to tell everybody else about it, because of the way they made me feel.
yeah. So are we doing that with our clients as we're defining our value? Right?
Well, it's
What
funny,
happened? It's really hard to do that.
Well, don't make it about you.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to tell you don't.
Yeah.
That was a
No,
bad way to
I know,
phrase
I get it. No,
Because again,
it doesn't make sense when you look at it that way.
Yeah. well, because, anyway, go ahead.
Mhm.
I was, so one of the breakout sessions at Family Reunion was, connecting with clients in real life. Handshakes over hashtag, great,
Oh, cool.
great class. And one of the things that was like a great takeaway is, be more concerned with being interested in somebody versus being interesting.
Mhm.
Which like being interesting can like really pump your own ego up, but it's not, like you said, it's not about you. It's like, so being interested in where somebody's at, what they're going through, how to navigate that stuff. And just the fact that you're genuinely curious about it, even if it's like, I don't enjoy hunting, but if they want to wax eloquently about how they love hunting and that type of thing, then it's like, I'm interested in what drives them, maybe to get a chance to know more about what's important to them
Yep.
and what their big why is.
Yep. And when you know those details, then you can also maybe surprise them, like, here's a hunting magazine. This is not a new idea, right? I did not make this up, but like, in sending them a hunting magazine or whatever, right? Because that also, when you learn about people, allows you to elevate those moments. So what they were saying is internalize your common purpose, discover your unique ways to exhibit your common purpose, to own the moment, to own that service moment, right? And then once you are able to own that service moment, you're able to create emotional connections with customers, and that helps create loyalty to your brand. Especially in this day and age, we need to have that loyalty, and it's based on how we make them feel. Again, if you don't know what your purpose is, how do you know you're doing it? And how can you implement it? I mean, all of us in this room are really kind and considerate people, right? Let's say, we are.
I'm like.
And Ryan's super considerate, right? Ryan's super considerate. But that's just who you are. But it's at the same time, it is still business. I'm not saying we are trying to systematize it, but we are. Because we know what's coming. So if you don't have a purpose to work from, how do we know we're doing it?
Yeah.
That's like saying lose weight. Well, I lost a pound. Do you think that's satisfactory? No. My purpose is to release 30 pounds, right? So that's why it's important to do that, because then you can also create those emotional connections. Now, we are gonna get into a little bit of the power of moments. So what they focus on, again, it has many, many, many different fields that they talk about, is they call it epic. He's only using it once in the book. So how do we elevate? How do we use insight, pride, and connection? So for example, so we have all of this in our own daily life. Oh, well, you can spell epic, but it wasn't said that way. So elevate, pride, insight, connection. There you go. For elevate, in our own homes, do we have love letters, ticket stubs, worn out t-shirts that because we wear them so much, cards from kids, grandkids, right? Those normal day, everyday things were elevated based on who it was from or the memories that were made at that time. Insights would be, what articles are you reading? What quotes do you have around your house or do you talk about that might have changed your point of view or perspective of the world? Pride, do you have any awards, trophies, certificates, you know, even with your kids, right? And then connections, do we have wedding photos? Do we have anniversary photos? Do we have vacation photos? Do we have, you know, holiday photos? On the connection part, they're talking about photos. The key to the connection part is you're mostly always with someone else. You're creating that community, which then again helps to elevate the experience, right? So we're going to cover some of that. And then we're bringing it specifically to real estate today. But again, it doesn't have to be, it could be in anything else. When we fill the pits, as they refer to it in the book, of real estate, can, for example, a pit is something that gets stressful, right? By definition. So what stresses do we know are coming in a real estate sale?
Repair negotiations.
Okay. Right? Okay. So I'm saying it. Okay, repair negotiations.
I tied in with that, like inspections, appraisals.
Yeah. I tend to go listing as well. Maybe, are we gonna find a house, negotiating the contract, right? I don't know, finding home. How much over do we have to pay? Not anymore, but maybe a little bit.
Yeah, along with finding a home would just be that competing.
Yeah.
You gotta bid back and forth and that's stressful.
And can you think of what some stressful points of a transaction are?
Like the unknown on whether or not you're gonna get an offer accepted, the what's next, especially if you're doing sell by, then it's like all the logistics need to stack up on one side and then align with the other. And then all those potential points of failure and how they relate to one another and being able to distill that down in a succinct way of getting a client onto the next step and onto the next step, and not to get them 10 steps ahead where they're what if, but we're just navigating through
I think
this.
you also have the stressors of, when you're in a situation like Andrew's talking about, you have the stressors of not just your client, but everybody else.
Yeah.
The people that are on that end that are gonna be disappointed, the people that are on that end that are gonna be disappointed, you know, if you can't figure out how to make this all come together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think the others are, prepping the house to sell and then moving, you know,
Yeah.
once they actually move it.
all of those things. It's just a high stress from start to finish, man. It is, and no wonder people are crazy.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's brainstorm for just a couple minutes. What are some things that we can do to elevate their experience, knowing that these stress points are coming?
Letting them know I've done it before
Okay.
successfully. Well, I don't know if that elevates it, but it should take a little bit of pressure off. Trust me.
Yes.
Yeah.
The third person is the third person, you know what?
Yeah.
I've had a number of different clients in your same situations.
Yeah.
And we've gotten through the other side. Once we figure out what the options are, we can come up with a plan of that, as opposed to, you're like, I know I'm a professional, but got me, I have
I don't know
no
what to do about
idea.
this.
Like you said, the last thing you need is, you know, a couple of sellers and you all on the roller coaster as opposed to.
Oh, yeah.
So I just don't, like, I'm not hopping on a roller coaster with you, doesn't mean I don't care, it means that you need to have
Amen.
a reason.
So I'd say resources, providing them
Yep.
movers or
Yeah.
plumbers or somebody to fix up the house, whatever needs to happen, movers.
Do you mind if I just add to that a skosh? So I'm finding in life experience, I have to keep up my vendor list. Cause I'm either getting complaints or people aren't doing it, or they're too busy, or now they're so expensive, I can't even refer them anymore. So like, I'm like, yeah, call this person. And they're like, Michelle, why did you send me that person? I'm like, oh.
If I get complaints on it,
Yeah.
because I keep a personal one as well, not just the office one, if I get complaints on it,
Yeah.
I leave them on my list, but I make a note, I've had 2 complaints for this.
Yeah.
And then I'm still sending it to you, but I'm also giving you full disclosure. I've had a couple of
Yeah.
complaints. Decide what you want to do.
100%.
So,
100%.
And depending on like who that trade person or vendor would be, is like, I've had some that have like done so poorly that they're just off the list.
yeah,
I don't announce it to them.
sure.
Right.
Oh, no.
But it's also like, they're not getting another one
Yeah.
unless they're on the,
Yeah.
you know, the buy side and I've got the listing.
Yeah.
But also recognizing like, okay, you know, maybe not having just one, you know, one go-to roofer.
Right,
because
but to be
who
fair,
knows
I
what
might
they're
have had
very-
great experiences with 5 other people, might have
Yeah.
had great experience with that one vendor, but if I did get a couple complaints, I want to make that note.
Yeah.
And it might not be fair to that vendor to say, you're just off my list because, you know,
It might be my
might have had
husband,
other
extra
people
critical.
who had, yeah, exactly, who did like them, and so I just kind of give it with that little grain of salt, you know, and then just leave them on, and unless you say, like, you're just like, oh yeah, you're done.
If it's a
You're
consistent
done.
theme and I've had like 5 or 6, like,
Yeah. Mhm.
not great
Right.
moments, then it's like at some
Yeah.
point you work hard to get a
Exactly,
reputation and you don't want somebody to run
Mhm.
it and run to the ground. So,
absolutely.
There's also a cycle of realtors recommending, like, Andon tells me who his favorite plumber is. And I recommend him to my client, and then you ask me who my favorite plumber is, I recommend you the same guy, and after a while, they get realtor famous. And then that's when they suddenly get too busy. They don't
And
think about it.
expensive,
And
yeah.
expensive, yeah.
Because
so
they're
it's
so
like-
busy, they don't have the job. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Lionel?
It's like, remember who put you where you are today?
Oh, on your point, I was just saying, one of the things relieve that stress, we would create a document that would name all of that. Okay, this is when the inspection, you should get appraisal. And then they would keep that on their refrigerator. And then they could keep, so it would relieve the stress because they know what's coming up. They
Send
know,
an email once a week that's got all of your details from the very beginning and they're just updated on the list so that you're still looking at that. It's like, here's our checklist that we're gonna be following through. That part's complete, that part's complete, this one's due by this one's due by this. And it's just always there to just take a peek at.
So, and without purpose to apply to our task, which is our job, then how are we elevating, making them feel valued and the customer experience? So and this is kind of what this book is talking about, right? So lately, when I know someone's getting their house ready, like we just had a seller, they've been in there 22 years. They spent a week, 2 weeks packing and repairing everything ready. So on a Friday, I dropped off $100 gift card to their, because there's a lot of people in their family. Normally I would not go that high.
Go eat, yeah, go eat.
Maybe 50. So then I dropped off a gift card. Hey, you guys are working so hard, please have dinner on me, right? We know they're packing and getting stuff ready. So different seller, I dropped off 5 boxes and some tape. Here, you might be getting low. Let me know if you need anything else. And I just popped in by. How am I elevating the task of what I already know is happening? So they know I care. Because what I used to do, as much as 3 months ago, is okay, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah,
Slightly dramatic, but it felt like it, right? They're working their hooties off while having full-time jobs. How am I plugging in to make sure they know that I am doing?
I see you.
I see you, right? I love that. I
See
see
you
you.
going through all of this now.
So the point of the whole elevating the moments, you know, is the power of the moments, is where are we plugging in for the hits that we know are coming? Every transaction has an inspection period. I know Chris Suarez 10 years ago said he used to send out a dinner gift card during the inspection period saying, hey, I know this is stressful, go have dinner on me, right? So where are we plugging things in? I'm not here to have the scalability conversation.
Right.
Do it with who you want. Maybe you don't do it to everyone, I don't know, right? But it is acceptable and probably a good idea. At least some deserve it, right? If you don't want to make it part of your system, and it can be as simple as, when someone meets with me, I send them a $5 Starbucks gift card to say, thanks a lot, take a meeting with me. I know you have a choice, right? And those little things, even to take it outside of context of real estate, how do we show up in other people's worlds for their job? Right? So many moons ago, of course, I always forgot my daughter's birthday cakes. Don't ask me why, we know it comes. Sorry, you probably heard the story. I'm always, so I don't do birthday cards because I always forget. And I always forget the birthday cake. So I had a go-to person, this is years ago, at Fred Meyer, People Market Choice. Who she would always do my daughter's birthday cakes. And I left her a note with a gift card saying, thank you so much for always bailing me out. I truly appreciate you. She said in the 15 years she worked at Fred Meyer, no one ever thanked her, and I listed her house. So again, how are we elevating other people's experiences? I did not do
Even
that.
when
to
they're
get
not, yeah, your client or whatever, just
Yeah.
by having that conversation, yeah.
Because again, it goes to who are you impacting and how, right? Because the whole side make me feel important, right? Yeah,
We
right.
used to, when a client would come, we still could, when a client would come in, just have a poster, just a sheet.
Welcome.
Welcome so-and-so. And when they walk in, they're like, is that me? Like, they know I'm coming and it's a little bitty thing, but it's back to the feeling.
Mhm.
Like, I feel important. Wow, there's.
Yep, exactly right. So if they're interviewing a few different agents, but you make them, there's many things, but you make them feel important to you, I've noticed 9 times out of 10, you'll get the listing or the buyer, right? Because now we're all being interviewed for buyers as well. So it's about not only the service you provide, but how did you make them feel in the meantime? And it's about slowing down.
You're gonna be the VP of how you make people feel, because you're better at it than I am.
Sherry Ellis, that's not true. You're
Earl, come
great
in,
at
give
it.
him a big hug. Okay, here's my wife. All right, let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
You're great at it. So now let's flip the script and talk about peaks. What are some peaks about for example, what is the real estate today? Of course, we can do this everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So what are some peaks of our real estate transaction?
Closing.
And then the offer accepted.
Yep, okay. Now keep in mind, we're gonna do the same thing. Someone gets an offer accepted, what can we do to elevate that experience? You get a text? Do you guys text, you got an accepted offer?
Not usually.
I call.
There
We send a plan. I call and write it in stone.
you go.
Okay.
Especially when there was like 19 other offers.
What else are some peaks, some excitement? Photo day?
You take the photo, you take the picture, something like that.
So this member is gonna share like something that happened even this week. I had a client who's like, oh my gosh, they've been working so hard to get their house ready. So hard, because everyone's like, oh, I have time to do this. We're not even moving yet until they find the house they want. Okay, so they've been living that, and they're like, man, we need to celebrate. I need some cake. I'm going over there today, and guess what I'm bringing? I'm bringing the cake. Now I wanted to do it tomorrow, but they don't have time to meet with me tomorrow because we're going live tomorrow. So I'm gonna do it today, and like happy going, you know what I mean? Like congratulations, whatever I'm gonna feel inspired to say. I'm bringing a cake because I just had their photos yesterday from Jeremiah, and then we're going live tomorrow. So I'm going in person with a cake to discuss next steps of what showings are gonna look like, how to leave their house, right? And I know I don't feel like anyone's too busy to not take time to at least have a phone call of next steps. Here's what to expect. Let's talk about this. If you could go over, great. This sounds crazy, but I actually have a little anxiety about talking to people extra, right? So I'm starting to like, oh, hey, let me come over and talk to you. And I cannot believe the positive feedback I'm getting. We're taking my time, by the way, it's my job. And going over there to sit with them in person to discuss everything as opposed to over text or just a quick phone call. I'll give you a quick phone call. So I'm changing my language. I never want anyone to feel rushed. So I say quick a lot. And that's too bad. So I'm trying not to say that word. So photo day, what can we do to elevate, right? It's not something we have to overcome. It's not a pit that we know that people are stressed out about. We know that these are exciting, this is a peak.
Celebration.
Yeah. Let's see, I wrote something down, I thought. What did you say?
Signing.
Signing. Yes, what are we doing to say thank you that they signed with us?
Closing gifts.
Closing gifts, right? But remember, we're
Right,
elevating the
elevating.
full experience.
I always, if I would know what they want, then bring them a coffee.
Yeah.
Coffees was a lot, and then the guy's like, I don't drink coffee. And I'm like, well, what do you drink? He's like, Coke in a bottle. It was very specific.
Yeah.
The way he wanted. He wanted it in a can, he wanted it in a bottle.
Cool.
So to show up with a Coke for him and a
And a
macchiato for her, it's personal.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. And that's what we're talking about, right? So,
So that comes back to the listening. If you listen to from day one, the whole transaction, you listen to how they talk, what they talk about,
Yeah.
and what they say. You can pick up on keys and
Yeah.
use those for your advantage.
well, I'm also putting together a survey kind of based on the ones we got, and I'm sending it to my clients. Hey, I really want to know this about you, so I can show up in different moments in their life with a surprise. So Four Seasons, Disneyland, Ritz-Carlton. They always have these customer service books and programs because they elevate the experience from start to finish. From housekeeping, do they make a flower with the towels? You know, do they make little pointy corners for the toilet paper, toilet tissue? Right? How's your check-in? How's getting your bags? How's your valet? How's your dinner? How's everything? So what would it look like if we took that from start to finish and elevated those peak and pits because we know it's coming? Now, I'm just gonna like be real for half a second. I get that there's agents that do 50, 100 transactions a year, in which they would probably have someone do this for them. Cool, I don't care how it gets done. I'm not too busy to not do this myself right now. Sorry, I'm just not. I'm not too busy.
That was
Right.
gonna be my next thing.
What?
That was gonna be my next,
Yeah,
You would-
yeah,
about people who
are
are
busy.
full blast and have time to not even take you know,
Sometimes.
read a book on the porch because they're just more into light and weekends too, you know.
She knows what that's like.
well, but at the same time, you know, with what we do with the brownies, that takes 2 seconds.
Right.
They
Oh, I
love
always do
them.
that. Always do that.
I got your brownies, we just finished eating
Yeah.
them. Love.
They are delicious.
What are in those brownies?
I don't know. I don't know where she gets
Oh,
the brownies. They're good.
Totally kidding, they are not, I'm just kidding. But my,
Cover plants.
right,
Get that.
but like honestly, everything's so automated. I can go on a website and order remember this one personalized cards? I can't even remember from
Send
last
out
time.
cards.
What is it?
Send out cards.
AM cards.
AM cards? Yeah,
That was
It's an AM card.
yeah,
same idea. You punch it into the computer and then it prints it. That's
Oh.
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Sends it directly to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, so
Oh, no,
mine-
there's ways, there's things. Yeah.
yeah, there's things, but that's the customer service part. So sometimes we mistakenly take the tasks of our job and the fact that we did them and pretend it's customer service.
And it is a service job.
It is
I mean, because there's a really big part of me that says, listen, you hired me to sell your house, protect you through the process, get you the most money possible in the least amount of time, and get you through the least amount of hassles. Not to,
Not to hug you.
you know, and so I have a hard time with that, right? I have a hard time with doing both, but I know that this part, that service part, is probably just as important in creating the next piece of business
Yeah.
as well. So, you know, figuring out a way to make that happen.
automated.
I
I mean,
had,
they're automated.
so back to, and I read I've gone back and forth, the Unreasonable Hospitality book,
Oh, yeah.
I will.
Oh,
And, it was great, some of that stuff, Will Yarda, it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
he was like the, voted #1 restaurant in the world. but-
Oh, okay.
Like that, so it's a New York story and everything like that, but like creating exceptional experiences.
Mhm.
And it's like acknowledging somebody where they're at on a high level and then trying to figure out like. Cause like if you've got somebody you spend a lot of time, so I wrote down like, hey, if I'm doing a buyer survey or a seller survey, like I need to make sure like on the front side, I'm doing an even. Deeper dive, like what are the name of all your kids, what are the name of your pets, what are the like, that like sounds a little bit weird, but like I
I
care.
tried to write those down.
And get all that, yeah, I'm not that good. But writing all that stuff down to come up with different ways to be able to, create some system and a little bit of ease in there. It's like we've had a similar conversation with somebody 200 times and we need to recreate the conversation, or do we need to create that experience? Like, somebody's not gotten an offer before. So is there something that I can do? Like, if I know where they live, so I've actually got, and I need to actually build it a little bit better, but I've actually got a list of just some like funny, a little bit snarky, a little bit sympathetic type of stuff. Kind of like, sorry things didn't go the way you're according to, but like novelty mints or a gag, something like that, that I can like pop onto Amazon. I don't have to drive anywhere. I've got their address. Here's the name, address. It ships it there in 2 days and they feel heard, even if they didn't get the house that they wanted. So just trying to like build some stuff like that, or you could even look at,
For
I
the
mean, it's not
appropriate
quite as
situation.
expensive, but yeah, but I mean, the cards with the, you know, you have the option to do a brownie with them or whatever, like all of that stuff to be able to.
Brownie in a pile of poo, you know, it's like.
Yeah.
"Oh, that day
But
was
it's like
crappy."
the idea of, hey, I mean, there's some stuff where it's so hyper specific, that
Sure.
it's gonna stand out, but if there's something in there, it's like, if you know somebody's a smart aleck like you, then a smart alecky gift to get them to light up a little bit and be like, okay, it's not a big deal. Because I've seen some people like not get a house and be like, screw it, we're just gonna rent the rest of it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you don't want them to do that. So, or, you know, somebody terminated
Yeah,
on a listing, you know, it's like, okay, is there, other than just doing a good job of your job, is there a way to acknowledge that in some material fashion, to acknowledge the bummer of that and then onward?
right. So part of what we were discussing today is it would be really good for you to go back to your own businesses, one, come up with a purpose. I can send you different ones, and it can be simple. It doesn't have to be extravagant or like something really intense. How would you then know you're living your purpose? Who do you need to help you live your purpose? Mr. Earl over here, right?
VP of purpose.
Yeah.
VP of make them feel good.
Just like, you got a fist bump coming. Well, just like Disney, all the cast members are fulfilling that purpose of, you know, helping create the most magical place on, or happiest place on earth, right?
Yeah.
They have that purpose, so they know they're doing it or not. What is our purpose in our businesses, so we know if we're doing it or not? How can we systematize, and we keep that to ourselves, the peaks, accepted offers, closing day, signing day, first day on the market, buyers, whatever, buyer consultation, like whatever, right? And then how can we see the pits are coming to then help ease and let them know we're thinking about it? So this is just gonna take some thought, and again, it doesn't have to be, I'm creating this custom basket for you each time, my gosh,
Right.
nobody's saying that. Standard's point, go on Amazon. Are you just getting thank you cards and then those little inspirational things, right? How are we showing up to make sure they feel valued and important to us as clients or customers, whatever? And that way they know we've got their back and we're a priority. Right? Not to, but what's the saying people always say? I'm not boasting, but I'm just gonna tell you this. Not to brag. I don't know, whatever. There's two things I always tell clients in my buyer seller consultation. You are never bothering me.
Right.
It's my, because I was so sick of people saying that. Hey, Michelle, sorry to bother you. I'm like, you're literally never bothering me. Right? And so please call or text. I'll answer if I can. If not, I'll call you right back. You're never bothering me. So this is my job. I'm here for you. Don't say that. The one thing that I didn't really realize I did, but I obviously did okay, is I never wanted someone to feel like they weren't important to me when I'm with them. Now, please know I do not nail this. I have a lot of improvement. Okay, I have a lot of improvement. But at the same time, I've had a few clients say, wow, Michelle, I know you're really busy, but you really made me feel like I was your only client. I'm like, oh shoot, what did I do?
Yeah.
You know?
How do I do that again? Dang.
Yeah, like,
I wish I would wrote that down.
Yeah,
I
but
think that is a good question though, to go, what was it that made you feel that? way?
Right.
And where they can give you that
Yeah.
specifics, you're like, oh.
okay, that's a good point. I just want to thank you.
Go back to those people.
Go back to those
Stay
people.
curious.
Remember what you said?
Yeah, I'm protecting that's the last time I heard that. I'm just kidding. So as we're wrapping up, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. My first go round of putting some curriculum together. Do you have any questions? Do you want to run through any scenarios that you have in your own business of, you know, this is kind of a glossary overview on making people feel important and calling it customer service.
I think it's good. I think it's a good reminder. I think it's good to slow down enough to do it.
Yeah.
That if you can't do it, something's out of balance.
Yep.
So I find a lot of times, or just lately, I'm kind of putting it in my head, because you know how our calls go, and you got all these numbers and circles and crap over here.
That's how I felt about that yesterday.
No, I could. Yeah, and I was like, I'm feeling you. And so, and then you have all these numbers and circles and stuff over here. And what I'm finding is that you know what, these just need to be less than if this can't be better.
Yep.
Because when I feel like I'm circling, and then I'm crazy over here. And if I want to make my customer, here's what I'm figuring out. If I want to make my customer, my client feel what you're trying to tell me to make them feel right now, then I have no time for making myself feel that way.
Right.
So they get they get, in order to make them red carpet, everything's great, everything's, fabulous and happy and elevated, then I'm definitely deflated.
Yeah.
Because it comes from there, that extra time comes from there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, these circles need to figure out how to not be so crazy so that these can be managed.
Yep.
So,
The one thing that I noticed in the past week, whatever, is again, just going from that text message to a phone call. So I don't even know that it has to be something crazy, like you're gonna drive over there. I know you go all over the world. But how can you be like, okay, what can I do in this moment? So if I haven't talked to them anyway, what can I do in this moment to elevate that? You know what I mean? That's why
I was just popping in my head, because that we'll send out weekly updates, and if it's under contract, then of course TC sending that out. Wait for the TC to send that out, follow up with a phone call. Did you get that? Did you have any questions?
Exactly.
And that can be my follow-up afterwards. So, which,
Exactly.
we do anyway too, but instead of just tagging on, it's phone call, which elevates that service to that one client.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
I think another point that came up to me when you were saying that is, there's a scripture in Proverbs that says, he who waters is also watered, and we strengthen others, we're strengthened. So
Yeah.
when we're pouring into other people, it builds us up. It makes us feel better. It gives us more energy rather than, what I gotta do it. But by making somebody else smile, making their day,
Right.
it makes it for us too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also if, sometimes you're delivering news that's not not exciting.
Yeah.
And yet the opportunity to reframe that is like, I get to, I remember like lamenting on the phone, to my coach about like the difficult deal, which is, just in case y'all hadn't realized, this is like a good chunk of the deals out there are difficult. Not that we're wishing that, it's just, that's the transaction pool that's available for
True.
a bigger percentage than was the last 4 or 5 years. But he's like, he reframed it for me, and I'm like, he's like, you're getting paid $500 an hour to negotiate, put a smile on your face and figure it out.
And figure it out is the key. And sometimes you
figure it out.
can't
It's
figure
like-
it out. It's like, how are we gonna get this done?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And staying curious about stuff, but like sometimes it takes like, hey, that's not ideal, reframe it, right? Reframe it, like, even if they get to, and you're having a hard conversation with somebody,
Mhm.
right?
It is a
You
get to.
get to have that hard
Yeah, it is.
conversation, deliver it with authenticity
Yeah.
and candor.
So has anyone ever had a doctor's appointment or maybe an emergency room where the doctor's a total, well, they're just doing their job? No, thank you. I almost lost my, what? I'm like, I'm literally standing right here. Are you kidding me right now? They're gonna treat my mom this way? Are you kidding? I almost lost my breath. Right? So my point to that is, yes, we're all busy, and I'm gonna challenge us. We've been in quite the storm the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Whatever that looked like to us individually, right?
Mhm.
So it is going to take some time to decompress from that and build different habits, because we really aren't have to run in like that.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
Like, we're not doing 32 offers per property. We're not showing 18 houses in 2 hours because you have to get an offer in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So like, we need to give ourselves time to decompress, find out what's important to us. How do we want to move forward? As people in our industry are not thinking about these things, you will stand out if you start now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you will. And if even if it's not about real estate, just how you treated that person, like, they will tell someone.
They will.
And they will tell someone if you treat them poorly.
Like we did. I'm like, let me find that review thing. I can't find it fast enough for you.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you everyone for coming and for your time. I truly value it, and it's on time. Thank you for coming, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
But
Not even on video, chicken head.
Here, I'm here.
Yes.
There he is.
I was listening. Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you just hang up on him?
I think you.
No, he just hung up. He wanted to acknowledge. So there we go.
you know,
And-
that's all 100%.